Hi, I'm Nigel Fisackley, and I'm here today with Gary, our mortgage broker, to have a chat about mortgages and how we can help our landlords. As you know, with NGU, we're all about generating long-term wealth for our landlords, which means maximizing income, which is looking at rent and reducing voids, but also minimizing your costs, which your main costs within property are insurance, maintenance, and of course, mortgages. So I'm here today with Gary to have a chat about mortgages. How are you, Gary?
Hi Nigel, yeah, good, thank you.
Yeah, so Gary's based up in the Northeast. He's a mortgage broker we've worked with before. Him and his team are really good, and we're going to have a chat today about the mortgage market. So in terms of the general market at the moment, the Northeast market is doing really well on a valuation basis. It's up 5.3%, and in our estate agency, we've seen really strong demand from people looking for properties and selling properties. And we've seen lots of landlords selling and looking to divest their investments. So how are you finding it, Gary, in terms of the mortgage market?
Exactly, it's been really buoyant. We're seeing March, April and May, when the first lockdown sort of hit, that they took obviously a bit of a hit because of the restrictions. But so from June onwards, it's absolutely been buoyant. There's a lot of demand for properties, especially investment properties. And what we're seeing is a lot of properties are actually going for the asking price, or there's sort of bidding wars. So everybody seems to have a really good appetite. Lenders are coming back into the market, considering they sort of closed shop a little bit because the operationals weren't sort of in place the early days of lockdown. Valuations are getting done. So yes, it's a really good, strong market and an appetite for both people for buying, investors, and just the residential market as well. Yeah,
It's really good to hear that, actually, because the Northeast market generally for the last few years has been really flat. But this year, actually, we've seen some real movement. And I think that momentum of just house prices increasing is really flowing through with the cheaper credit in terms of interest rates being cut, plus the fact we've got a upwardly mobile Northeast market, which generally is causing it to increase. You mentioned, we mentioned how the market's really buoyant at the moment, and what that tells me is it's an amazing opportunity for landlords to remortgage, because if they've bought a property over the last few years, they can remortgage at its current market value and potentially either take some equity out, as in take some cash out and maybe use that to reinvest in other properties, or they could look to reduce their interest rates and reduce their costs and increase their income. So in terms of like high loan to value mortgages, and if you just explain what loan to value is, Gary, where are we on that?
So basically, loan to value is basically how much equity you've got in your property. So a lot of it, so if you've got 25% equity in your property, then the loan to value will be up to 75%. Now, with the buy-to-let market at the moment, the majority of lenders are only lending up to 75%. We have got a lender who will do up to 80% for both personal names and limited company, and we can refinance them and take a little bit of extra money out for home improvements, use it for business purposes, maybe to raise a deposit for another property.
Wow, yeah.
And again, when you mention for a good time for refinancing, what we found is the rates are actually historically low at this moment in time. So I was speaking to the client who took the buy-to-let out yesterday. She's on 3.69. 2-year fix she took out. Yes, she's got a little bit of penalties. However, after doing some research, we could have got our rate of 1.64 and actually more or less half the monthly payments. So it is a good time for landlords to basically review the portfolios, review the properties that they've actually got, and see if it's worth getting some extra money out to help them build the portfolio.
Yeah, because I think what a lot of landlords may not realise, or certainly for myself, because I'm in my 40s, is interest rates in terms of debt is incredibly lower than it used to be. You know, it's an incredibly
it's fantastic. It's historically low, and with the way the market is at this moment in time, there is some fantastic rates and fantastic deals to be done and be had.
No, yeah, I definitely agree. And I always say to friends, actually, that people should be raising debt at this point in time, because if you
It's cheap money.
if you can't make 1.5% a year, then you shouldn't be in business, or you shouldn't be
in business.
Yeah.
And if somebody's got 30 grand, 50 grand, 25,000 pounds, they're not going to be getting a return in the Bank of Business Society. So use it, maximise it, and get some money out of the properties, and actually increase the sort of portfolio.
Brilliant. And in terms of fixes, in terms of length of fixes, because some of our investors like the security of a long-term fix. What's the length of long-term fixes do you generally see?
Generally what we sort of have three types of clientele at this moment in time. We've got the person who likes to regularly review their mortgages every say 2 years, and they're basically just edging the bets a little bit, seeing if the property market's going to raise, or they like to buy something, sell it cheaply, or raise money. So they'll sort of go with a 2-year fixed. We've got clients who like a little bit of medium security, and they'll go for the 5-year fixed. There is 1 or 2 lenders who will possibly offer a 10-year deal, but we've got to weigh up the pros and cons of whether just to maybe keep it at 5 years, and then review it after 5 years and see if it's going to be better for them, and give them that flexibility of just not locking them in too long, and just let them have a bit medium security of the 5-year fixed rate. It gives them the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice, because after 5 years, you might want to sell the property, and then you'd have an early redemption for the remaining 5 years. So even though you may feel like you want the 10-year fixed, it may not be best for you, because things change over a 5 year.
So I think 5 years is a good base. And what we're also finding with lenders, when they're doing the stress test for the calculations for the buy-to-lets, you're sort of getting a little bit additional monies if you remortgage on a 5-year fixed rate deal, because you're sort of taking the risk away a little bit from the lender. So the lender knows you fix in for 5 years, you know exactly, it doesn't matter what happens with interest rates or certain, you basically you know what your monthly payments are for the next 5 years. So the lenders are sort of allowing you to take that little bit extra money out when you come to refinance against the sort of the interest rate sort of stress test, but actually doing the behind the scenes.
I mean, that's really interesting, actually. That's how the mortgage market works these days. In terms of, some of our investors follow something called like a BRR strategy, which is a buy, refurb and remortgage strategy, or they'll buy a property, do a bit of work, and then look to take out a bit of that increased value from the work they've done. Have we got any products around like that, Gary?
Again, we have. Again, we're limited just due to COVID, but what we're seeing is more lenders are getting the appetite. At this moment, we have got a lender. Now, they've got a couple of stipulations with their criteria, whereas you've got to have a minimum property value of £100,000. They'll basically underwrite the application, and they'll allow you to do a bridge and finance up to 65% of the property purchase. Then if you do the works and you basically show them a detailed schedule of the works that you've actually done, not like a lick of paint and saying it's went up 10 or 15,000 pounds, but example, put a bathroom in, kitchen, basically a little bit of double glazing or something like that. You get the schedule of works, they'll actually remortgage that property on their certain buy-to-let product at 75% of the new market valuation after works have been done. So it's a good way of actually getting some of your money out and getting some of the works back out to possibly use as a deposit for your onward purchase, your next purchase.
Brilliant. No, I mean, we've got tons of investors who love doing that. So that's really interesting to know that opportunity is still there in the mortgage market. The other thing I wanted to have a quick chat about, which is something which has been ticking along now for a few years, is Section 24 was something which was brought in, which meant interest no longer was tax deductible on a personal basis. So we see a lot of landlords trying to buy through limited companies, and there's all sorts of contrasting things going on when you look at personal versus limited company.
Personal against limited company,
it's not as easy as you should definitely go limited. So where do you see the rates between personal and limited companies?
The rates, what you're seeing for personal is you could have, say, an example, a 2-year fixed of sort of today's market. You could be looking at potentially 1.64. 2-year fixed. It is loan to value at 75%. So the client's put a 25% deposit in, possibly looking at a remortgage, limited fees. Whereas if the same client was doing that in a limited company, you're possibly looking at 3.04, 3.24. So realistically, clients are more or less paying double interest rate or close to double, at least 1% more, to put their new mortgage into the limited company. So there's pros and cons of both, and this is when you need expert advice, both with an accountant and a broker, to see which way you're going to actually plan your portfolio and get it right first time.
Yeah, I think there's lots of things you have to consider. The variable and the interest rate is not, they're not like for like. It's your own personal tax rates, your spouse's tax rates, there's income credit, and this is where I think you need to really get some good advice, both from your accountant and from your mortgage broker as well, because you need to do all this thinking before you start, because if you do it halfway through,
if you do it halfway, definitely, yeah, you could just basically, you could start in that direction, then it could be totally wrong for you. Then the tax implications and everything. So, and this is why you need to basically get it planned at outset. Or even if clients now have got portfolios and they're a little bit concerned, this is a good chance now to review their situation and maybe put things in place and say, right, we've got the situation now, but we want to change direction, and be able to sit down, free review, and say exactly how we can help them and which way to go forward with it, with costs and everything.
Yeah, that's really good. All I wanted to do, Gary, was actually make this a bit of a whistle-stop tour as well. So what we've covered is where interest rates are, potential ability to buy, remortgage and refinance, take some equity out, had a little look at limited companies. And some of these subjects actually we're going to cover in more depth together. We've just done a bit of a whistle-stop tour today. So just to kind of start looking at wrapping up, what are you seeing any issues or general advice you could give to people where you've seen any issues around, say, purchasing flats over houses, or in the mortgage market?
What I would say at this moment in time, lending criteria is very strict. It's probably getting stricter. Flats, lenders do not like freehold flats generally. Lenders do not like flats above fast food outlets, laundrettes, because they can see them potentially with smells and hazards and fire hazards. We're also making sure that landlords have everything in place now. So they've got the property schedules in place. They're doing the tax returns. They're doing the SA 302s, the tax overviews. Because even if you're employed and you've got a couple of buy-to-lets in the background, it doesn't matter if you've got 1 or 20, landlords are wanting to see the tax returns and that you've actually put them down and informed the HMRC that you're actually declaring the income now. And a lot of times now, the lenders, if you haven't got these, they'll not actually underwrite the case until you've actually provided with all this information. So what I would say to landlords moving forward is get the house in order with regards to bank statements, employment, SA 302s, tax overviews and accounts. Just make sure everything's nice and clean, and if it's all packaged up, we package everything up for you, and we'll make sure that the process is as smooth as possible.
Yeah, because we were chatting earlier about this. I think what people have to realize these days is they need to treat their buy-to-lets or their investments like a business. They need
like a true business, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, they need to get all their documentation in place, make sure they present their case correctly to the lender, make sure they discuss with a broker how they're going to go on that journey of creating that portfolio, so they know where they're going to go to and how they're going to do that. So it's really incredibly important.
It's so complex now, Nigel, that they've actually got to do 100% proper planning and have everything in place. And you're right, treat it as a business, not something where they've got maybe 1 or 2 properties on the side and just thinking I'm just going to take over. They've got to start looking at it professionally.
No, I totally agree. I definitely agree. So what I'd probably say from this is, if you are a landlord or an investor and you are looking to maximize that long-term wealth, is one of the things you do need to look at is your cost base. And this is where Gary can help you by having a look at your mortgages, reviewing your portfolio, reviewing the mortgages you've got in place, and actually going into the current market and seeing if you can reduce that cost. Because if you reduce that cost, you increase that income.
Yeah.
So if you do want to get in contact, you can give us a bell in the office on 0191 491 0344 option 1, or email us on landlords@nguhomelettings.com. And what we'll do is we'll get Gary to give you a bell, or one of his team. They're a really good bunch, Gary and his team, and they'll chat through your case, and hopefully we can look to save you some money. So, I mean, have you got anything as well, Gary, to add? Or?
No, I think that's all for the time being. And like you say, this has just been brief, but there's a lot of complexity that we can go into, and sort of one topic at a time for maybe the future date.
Oh, we'd love to. We'd love to, Gary. Because what we're looking to do is give as much value as we can to our landlords and investors. So if we can, what we'll do actually is we'll send out an email and we'll ask people what they'd like to discuss, whether that's Section 24 limited versus personal.
Portfolio landlords.
Portfolio landlords.
Like that, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, or different strategies. So what I'll do is I'll create an email, send out this video, and ask people for some feedback. And if people want to discuss a specific subject, we can do. And then hopefully, you know, we can help lots of people and save them some money.
Save them some money, yes, and grow their wealth.
Brilliant. All right. Cheers, Gary.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.